So, a very good afternoon to all the students. How are you all? Yes, Farhad, correct. So, today in chapter 2, unit 1, that is demand, we are doing the second class. Chapter 2, unit 1, demand, we are in the second class, right? So, my dear friends, till now we had done what is demand. We had done the concepts of demand schedule like individual and market demand. We had discussed the law of demand, which states that when price rises, quantity falls, and vice versa, other factors remaining constant. We have studied the concepts of why the demand curve is downward sloping, that is rational behind the law of demand, right? After that, we have studied the factors affecting demand. So all of these things we have studied in our last class, right? Yes, sir. So today, what are we doing, sir? We are starting right where we ended last day. My dear friends, we are studying exceptions to the law of demand. Well, we studied law of demand when we studied the law of demand. Guys, we studied that as per the law of demand, when price of a commodity rises, quantity demanded falls, and just the opposite, when price falls, quantity rises, other factors remaining constant. Yes, sir, we do remember it. You had taught us. You had taught this to us. Correct. But today we are starting with a concept which will not follow the law of demand. Which will not follow the law of demand. In general terms, what was law of demand saying? Law of demand was stating that when price rises, quantity falls, and when price falls, quantity rises. This was the general rule. This was the general rule. But now we are discussing the exceptions where this general rule will not be obeyed. So what do you mean, sir? It means it might happen that today we will study topics where when price rises, quantity demanded rises instead of falling. Similarly, when price rises, there might be no change in demand at all. Or there may be a situation when price has not changed at all, but still quantity demanded has changed. So all this we are going to discuss under the exceptions to the law of demand. Number one is what I prefer to call as conspicuous goods, or also goods, or we can also famously call it as Veblen effect. What do we call it? We can also call it Veblen effect. We can also call it Veblen effect. Okay? Yes, sir. What does it say, sir? What does it say, sir? Let's start understanding this. My dear friends, conspicuous goods or Veblen effect basically means that when the purchase is made to show off, when the purchase is made to feel good that I belong to a very prestigious part of the society, right? Simply speaking, कंस्पिकुअस गुड्स या वेबलिन इफेक्ट उन गुड्स का कंजम्पशन को बोलते हैं जो हम लोग शो ऑफ के लिए खरीदते हैं, प्रेस्टीज के लिए खरीदते हैं. लेट्स से माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, prices of diamond is rising. Prices of diamond is rising. So let's say it might happen that a person who is rich and wants to show off his wealth may want to purchase more of diamond, that is diamond related stuff like diamond jewelry or something like that, when the price rises, just to enjoy that societal prestige, my dear friends. That is called Veblen effect or conspicuous goods. That is called Veblen effect or conspicuous goods, right? Moving on to the second exception of the law of demand, which is called as giffen goods. Sir, what do you mean by giffen goods? Actually, this giffen goods is basically, my dear friends, named after Robert Giffen. This giffen goods is mainly named after Robert Giffen. After who, sir? After Robert Giffen. Sir, who was Robert Giffen? Basically, friends, he was an economist. He was an economist during the times of World War. He made an observation. During the times of World War, he made an observation. Like people in general, during the times of World War, people used to eat two types of commodities. What were the two types of commodities? Number one, bread, that is their daily food, that they eat every day, correct? To sustain their living. Like in India, most of us eat rice, some might eat chapati. But what I'm telling is, just like that, in those foreign world, it was like UK, it was bread which was consumed in plenty, a daily food basically. And something that was used as a luxury item, or I would rather say a party food, it was meat. Generally there were these two things. Now what happened was, people used to spend their income on this as well as this. Gradually, my dear friends, do you know what happened? The price of bread during the times of World War started rising. The price of bread during the times of World War started rising. So most of you will expect that quantity will fall, but no, it didn't. That's why we are studying it under exceptions to law of demand. What happened was, I'll tell you what happened was, basically, people, the amount of money that people used to spend on meat, they stopped spending it, or they reduced their expenditure on meat. Whatever money they were putting to consume meat, they started using that money to purchase more of bread. So, funnily enough, what Robert Giffen observed was that when price of bread increased, quantity demanded for bread also started rising. It was an abnormal behavior according to him, and that's why we are studying it under the exception to the law of demand. So why did this quantity for bread started rising? Because people thought that, oh my god, bread is our necessity and the prices of bread is rising. So rather than eating party food, let's stop eating party food, or let's reduce eating party food, and the amount that we used to put on this party food, that is meat, we will use that to purchase more of bread. So rather than the declining of quantity of bread, the quantity demanded of bread rose compared to the previous time. So here also you will see an abnormal behavior, because the normal behavior is when price rises, quantity falls. But here the abnormal behavior is that price has risen and quantity has risen as well. So this is exception number 2, my dear friends. Correct? Yes, sir, correct. But remember, given goods are also inferior goods. Given goods are also generally termed as inferior goods. So please remember, if somebody asks ki given goods are what nature of goods, if anybody asks in MCQ, like what is the nature, I'll give you an MCQ question right away. You all answer me. Nature of given goods. You all will answer me, okay? Nature of given goods. I am giving you the option. Option A, inferior. Option B, luxury. What is your answer, everybody? Come on, friends. I need your answer, everyone. Given goods are what natured goods? Come on, everyone. Very good. So friends, your answers have been coming absolutely correct. Given goods are also of inferior nature. Given goods are also of inferior nature. You people are absolutely correct in stating the same. Okay, moving on. So there are two exceptions, very important exceptions that we have studied so far: conspicuous goods and Veblen effect, given goods. Friends, the third exception that we are studying today is basically conspicuous necessities. What is conspicuous necessities, sir? Because in first point also there was conspicuous word, here also there is. Basically conspicuous necessities are, I like to call it as, and it is my personal call, right, I like to call it as fake necessities. Fake, something that is not real, that is created due to societal pressure, that is created due to societal pressure. Sir, what do you mean? Let's say, guys, a furniture, a piece of furniture, maybe a sofa set, television, smart TV. Guys, do you think it is necessary for our living? No, sir. But still, because now it has become so common in the houses that even if the price of television rises, people will consume television. It doesn't matter to them that just because price has risen, quantity will fall. Because television has become so common at homes that now people have started taking it to be a necessity. In reality, it is not. And that's why the word conspicuous necessities, the necessity which has become not because of our actual need for the product, but because of the societal pressure created to make the product feel such way. Correct? Right, sir. Moving on. So this is conspicuous necessities, which says that when something becomes so natural, so necessity, so much of a necessity that eventually, even if prices rises, people don't care, they try to buy more of it. Right, friends? So there it is. This is the third point, conspicuous necessities. Now, friends, number 4 is future expectation about prices. Future expectation about prices. Sir, we remember you told this point under the factors affecting demand as well. Very good. Future expectation about prices. So, friends, what is this point talking about? My dear friends, it states that, let's say you are worried that in future, not today, come on everyone, in future price of a commodity may rise. Let's say masks and hand sanitizers. In the times of COVID, we were thinking that the price of a mask may rise. Eventually, at present, let's say at present, the price of mask has not risen. Let's say, for example, we are just expecting that in future it may rise. So just because out of the fear of future, we increase the quantity consumed today. But in reality, price today is a constant value. That is an abnormal behavior indeed at present, because you are expecting something to happen in the future, which has not really happened. And just because you are expecting it to happen in the future, you are assuming that it will naturally happen and you are taking action today. This is an abnormal behavior. It is an exception to the law of demand. This is an abnormal behavior and exception to the law of demand. So one another point, sir, is the irrational behavior of the consumers. That is an exception to the law of demand. Sir, what do you mean by irrational behavior? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Irrational behavior. You know, sometimes we try to associate price with quality. We tend to associate price with quality. Let's say I'll talk about I'll talk about any product. You see, let's say there is a protein A. Okay, I am wanting to purchase some protein for my home. There is protein A and protein B. Okay, now protein A full pack price of 1 kg is, let's say, 5,000 rupees, and here protein B price full pack is 7,000. You know what is the general tendency? That because protein B is placed at a higher price, it seems that protein B will be of a better quality, while in reality both are of the same quality. So there is this irrational behavior taking place, that just because price is high, so quantity demanded for such commodities become high. Why? Because it is assumed that higher price indicates better quality. It indicates higher price indicates better quality. It is assumed, and such irrational behavior is what we are studying here. Okay. Another exception to the law of demand is, guys, which I'll tell as the last exception, that is the demand for necessities. Sir, how is demand for necessities an exception? Can you tell us? Yes. Let's say, my dear friends, you are not feeling well, you are sick. Okay. So the doctor has prescribed, let's say, a medicine, let's say chest and cold. It's a medicine. Okay. Simple. To prevent you from, a lot of irritation of cold and fever. Okay. Now, initially the chest and cold tablet, one tablet was coming at, let's say, rupees 2, but eventually it arose to rupees 8. But guys, come on. Medicine is a necessity. When needed, it will be consumed, no matter the price, isn't it? So there it is, that in case of necessities, there is an abnormal behavior seen. In case of necessities, you will not care whether the price has risen or fallen. If you need to buy it, you need to buy it. It doesn't matter what happens. Acha. And number 7, a classic example of speculative or stock market. Speculative market or stock market. Sir, what happens here? You know, there are two types of people in a market, stock market. Most of you will know. There are two types of people in a stock market. Number 1 we call as bull, and number 2 we call as bear. Number 1 we call as bull, number 2 we call as bear. So what happens is, let's say price of a share is rising in the bull market. That means bulls are happy. So what will people do? They'll try to buy more of such shares. So despite the fact that price is rising, quantity demanded of share is rising, because people are expecting it to rise further. But in case of a bear, if prices are falling, people are expecting that it will still fall, and so therefore the quantity demanded falls. So this behavior where price and quantity are going together, or one is not responding to the other, all are abnormal cases, and that, my dear friends, is what we call as absolutely correct exceptions to the law of demand. My dear friends, before we move to elasticity of demand, which is numerical based topic, I will like to explain to you all one additional concept which is given in our books, which is the two types of demand. That is basically movement of demand versus shift of demand. Please pay attention, friends. Movement versus shift of demand. Movement versus shift of demand is what I am explaining to you right now. Okay. So what is movement and what is shift, sir? Okay. What is movement and what is shift, sir? Before I start this, I'll summarize all the 7 points. Okay. So under the exceptions, we have studied conspicuous goods, where you are purchasing more to enjoy higher prestige, even if the price is high. Given inferior goods, World War example I gave. Then I spoke to you about conspicuous necessities like television. Despite it's not being a necessity, it has become so common that even if price is rising, demand is still on the go. Future expectation about price. Just because you expect price to rise in the future, your demand at the present is rising. Despite the fact that price today has not changed at all. Irrational behavior, where we think that higher price product has a better quality. So higher price, more demand. Higher price products tend to have more demand. Okay. Then there is demand for necessities. In case of medicines or basically food that we eat, atta, dal, chawal, it will not matter where its price is rising or falling, we will have to consume the same. And speculative, in share markets what happens is, if price of share is rising, people will expect it to rise further, so at higher price also demand will be more. But when prices are falling, people will expect it to fall even further, and therefore demand will fall. This is the thing that we have studied, my dear friends. Now please pay attention everyone. Okay, now please pay attention everyone. Okay. Movement versus shift. Yes, Khushbu, you are in the chat section. Absolutely correct. Okay, go ahead. Let's go, sir. Now, movement versus shift. My dear friends, please remember, movement is also called change in quantity demanded. What are the two things exactly? I'll tell you. But please remember, movement is also called change in quantity demanded. Shift is also called change in demand. Now, yes, guys, those who go to an English teacher and ask, in English, both mean the same. The statement 1, that is change in quantity demanded, and statement 2, change in demand, both mean the same. But as per economics, these are two different cases. Number 1, movement is basically change in quantity demanded, and shift is basically change in demand. So please be informed, friends, these are two completely different things and are not to be confused with. Okay. Now, when we are talking about change in quantity demanded, what is happening here? My dear friends, whenever due to a rise in price, that is because of the own price of the commodity, there is a change in quantity. So if let's say own price rises, quantity demanded is falling, or let's say if own price of the commodity falls, quantity demanded rises. If other factors are constant, guys, other factors remain constant. If this is a behavior you are observing, that is because of the change in prices, quantity is changing, that, my dear friends, is called movement. But my dear friends, if let's say we have studied a lot of factors that affect demand, like income of the consumer, like price of related commodities, right? So many things we have studied, consumer tastes and preferences. If own price is assumed to be constant, and after this, let's say income has risen, just an example, income is just an example, and because of which quantity demanded has risen, or let's say tastes and preferences, consumers like of the product, and therefore quantity demanded has risen. What I'm trying to say is that if because of any other factor there is a change in demand, demand may rise or demand may fall, it doesn't matter at all. What I am telling is that if it is happening because of own price, we call it to be movement, and if it is because of other factors, own price remaining constant, it is said to be shift. So movement is a situation when the demand is rising or falling because of own price of the commodity, and change in demand is a situation where the demand is increasing or decreasing because of other factors affecting demand, own price remaining constant. Okay, sir, we got it. Now, my dear friends, I'd like to tell you something. What, sir? Friends, the movement is of two parts. Sir, what are the two parts? I'll tell you. Number 1 is expansion of demand, and number 2, expansion is also referred to as extension. So please don't worry about the same. Expansion is also called extension of demand, and the second type is called contraction. So in expansion or extension, what is happening, sir? Basically here price is falling and so quantity demanded is rising. Okay, but what is contraction, sir? When price is rising, so quantity demanded is falling. Obviously in both the cases, other factors remaining constant, sir. Okay, so what is movement? When demand is rising or falling because of own price. What is shift? when demand is increasing or decreasing because of other factors, not because of own price. Other factors could be income of the consumer, which we discussed in our last class, right? Okay. So expansion and contraction are the two types of movement. If because of price fall quantity is rising, that is called expansion. So it basically deals with rise in demand. And my dear friends, if because of price rise quantity demanded falls, that is called contraction. And please let me tell you, it is because of the price that is they are taking place. Okay, and hence the word expansion and contraction. I'll draw the graphs. I'll draw the graph. Graphs are very important. Graphs are very important in economics, and I'll be drawing some graphs, guys. Please, be confirmed about this. But first, let's understand the concept that is running through. Now, sir, what is the two type of shift? My dear friends, the two types of shift are, number one, increase in demand, and number two, the second type of shift is decrease in demand. So, sir, what exactly is happening? Can you tell us? Absolutely, yes, I can tell us, friends. So, friends, if demand is rising because of own price remaining constant and any other factors doing the work, maybe income is rising, or maybe demand for product is rising because the price of substitute has increased. Whatever can happen. What I'm trying to tell you is it happens because of other factors and quantity demanded is rising. That is called increase in demand. And if quantity demanded is falling due to other factors, own price remaining constant, then my dear friends, that is called decrease in demand. Sir, will you be helping us with the graphs? Definitely yes. So guys, first graph that I'll showcase you is the graph of expansion or extension, as you call it. The first graph is of expansion or extension, as you call it. Okay, yes sir. Yes sir. So let's see. Come on everyone, pay attention. Okay, first expansion I'll write and I'll draw the graph, and then I'll do the same for contraction. Okay, so pay attention, friends. Friends, what is happening in expansion is, as I have already told, price is falling and so quantity is rising. So now my dear friends, you see here, let's say this is price axis, this is quantity axis. Okay, so see friends, what is happening is, if let's say this is the price P1, friends, at price P1 quantity is demanded will be more, quantity demanded is Q1, correct? But friends, if price has let's say risen, so see, you were here first of all, here, or rather let me give you a more simpler approach. I am talking about expansion. So let's say the price initially is very high, quantity is less. Okay, so these two are intersecting here. But what did I say about expansion? Here price falls, so quantity rises, correct? And therefore, my dear friends, you see, when price has fallen, quantity consumed has risen. New intersection point is this. I have joined the two graphs. Friends, what do you notice? There's a movement from this part of the world to this part of the world. So please remember, in examination, and I'll be asking you this MCQ question right away. In expansion, there is a downward movement. In expansion, there is a downward movement along the same demand curve, as you can clearly see here. Very important MCQ question. Students tend to write upward, but it is downward, as you can clearly see from the diagram. I'll draw another diagram to showcase contraction now. Okay. In contraction, what is happening is, friends, initially, let's say the price is very low, so quantity demanded is too high. Let's say here they are intersecting. But if let's say, friends, price is rising, quantity demanded is happening what? Falling. So where are they intersecting? They are intersecting here. So friends, now you join them. Now again, what is happening, sir? Here is, first we were here, then we went upward. So in case of contraction, there is upward movement along the same curve. Upward movement along the same curve. In contraction, there is upward movement along the same curve. Okay, so let's hear it from you all. Whether you are able to solve this MCQ or not, we are yet to find out. In case of expansion of demand, there is, let's see, upward movement of demand curve along the demand curve. There is downward movement. There is rightward movement, or there is leftward movement. Come on, friends. Please, I'll need to hear your answers. Come on, everybody. Let's see what your answer is. Okay. So as I can see, and I am very happy about the same, that most of you are giving the correct answer. Your answer is बिल्कुल सही. Expansion of demand हो रहा है, तो there is a downward movement. There is a downward movement along this curve. So yes, absolutely correct. There is a downward movement. There is a downward movement. Very, very good. There is a downward movement. Correct. Moving on, sir. Sir, you've not spoken to us about the graphs of increase and decrease. Can you please do the same? Yes, I am doing the same, friends. Please pay attention. First of all, I am talking about increase. Okay. First of all, I'll draw the graph of increase, then of decrease. Okay. So see, have a look, guys. In case of increase, what is happening, friends, is in case of increase, what is happening, friends, is please pay attention. Here it is price, here it is quantity. Okay. So see, okay, so here it is interesting thing. Most of you will say, sir, you told that increase in demand takes place because of other factors, price remains constant. Yes, so price will remain constant. I am not touching the price axis at all. Now let's say quantity initially was this one, Q1. So the graph would have been somewhat like this. Now friends, what happens is, let's say income has arose or something like this has happened, which has pushed the demand upwards. That is, demand has increased. So whenever there's an increase, now where is this price and this point intersecting? Price and quantity are intersecting at this point now. So the new graph that you will draw is here. So what I'm trying to tell you is, friends, there is a rightward shift. There is a rightward shift. So remember, in case of increase in demand, my lovely friends, there is a rightward shift. In case of increase in demand, my lovely friends, there is a rightward shift. And yes, I will upload these notes, so no worries. Okay. In case of increase in demand, there is a rightward shift. But let's say if you talk about decrease in demand, friends, in case of decrease in demand, there is a leftward shift. There is a leftward shift. I'll tell you what it is. What am I talking about? Please pay attention, everyone. See, here it is. I have written price and here I have written quantity. Okay. So my dear friends, see, the prices remain constant. I'm not touching the value at all. Initially, it was intersecting here. So the graph would have been somewhere here. Okay. But now because of reduction in demand, price has not changed. Maybe income has fallen or something like this has happened, or the substitute goods have become less expensive. They have become cheaper. So quantity of the current commodity has fallen, because of which you are here now. So my dear friends, as you can clearly see, there is a leftward parallel shift. There is a leftward parallel shift. Absolutely correct. So in case of decrease in demand, there is a leftward shift. So let's ask you a question and see how many of you friends are able to answer this MCQ question correctly. It's, I believe, fourth MCQ for the day. Let me ask you. Question is, this is like a test, everybody. I'll test you in between, okay? So that you are able to perform well, okay? So I'll ask you again, okay? Yes, Dharvi, your answer is visible. Okay. Very good. Very good, Priyanshu. Priyanshu, perfect answer. So pay attention, everyone. Now what I'm talking to you about is, what will happen if demand increases? Be careful about the word that I'm using. I have used the word increases. Option A, rightward. B, leftward. C, where will it shift? Or where will it move? Upward. D, downward. Let's hear it from you, friends. Yes, Rohit. Yes, Rohit. Yes, Ritika. Okay. Correct answer. Correct answer. Very good. So, friends, the answer is rightward shift. What will happen if demand increases? Rightward shift. So, you people have been able to understand till here absolutely brilliantly. Absolutely brilliantly. So, there it is. So, guys, I'll summarize it for you all. Please pay attention, okay? This movement was a shift topic. I'll summarize it for you all. And then we will move on to the very fresh and very important topic, which is numerically very interesting and at the same time important. That's going to be elasticity of demand. But before that, before I'm able to do that, friends, I'll need you to listen to me very carefully. Okay. See, what did we study about demand? I movement and shift. Movement happens because of own price of the commodity. other factors remaining constant. Shift happens because of other factors, own price remaining constant. Movement is of two types, expansion and contraction. Shift is of two types, increase and decrease. In case of expansion, there is a downward movement. In case of contraction, there is an upward movement along the same curve. As far as increase is concerned, there is a rightward shift, and if decrease is concerned, there is a leftward shift. This is what we have done so far, friends. This is what we have done so far, friends. Okay. So now what are we discussing, sir? Friends, the next topic that we are discussing is elasticity of demand. So, sir, could you tell us more on the same? Yes, sir. My dear friends, law of demand is a qualitative phenomenon, because you see, law of demand tells us that if price rises, quantity demanded falls, and if price falls, quantity demanded rises. But guys, you all tell me, does it state by how much, by what quantity? If price rises, quantity will fall. Very good. Law of demand is correct. But does it quantify the same? No. Elasticity of demand is a quantitative model. Here we will use numbers a lot. Here we will use numbers a lot. So quantitative model. Right? Okay. Sir, what types of elasticity are we going to study in our syllabus? See, if you understand one properly, now all the other three will be same. So please pay attention, okay? See, the four types as per our curriculum, our institute syllabus is number one. Please pay attention, right? Please pay attention. Yes, Saurabh. Please pay attention, everyone. Number one, price elasticity of demand. Number two, income elasticity of demand. Number three, cross elasticity of demand. Number four, advertisement elasticity of demand. Advertisement elasticity of demand. Now, my dear friends, I'll tell you something. There are different measures, different ways to measure each one of them, but we are mainly concerned with price elasticity of demand. Here, what do we have? Here we have percentage method. Okay. Here, the most important is percentage method, which is applicable here as well, here as well, here as well. So there is this percentage method which will be applied to all the other three as well. But in case of price elasticities, there are some other methods as well. Sir, could you highlight some? Yes, there is this total outlay or total expenditure method, as we call it. Okay, I'm just giving you an intro of what we are getting into. There is total outlay or total expenditure method, and then friends, there is something called arc elasticity method. There is something called arc elasticity method. Sir, are these very simple? Yes, absolutely simple. So pay attention. My dear friends, please remember one thing. My explanation that I'll be giving right now will strictly be related to percentage method. So sir, the other two are not in the syllabus. Yes, they are. But I have informed you prior to anything that this percentage method, since it is the most important for some point of view also, so I'll discuss this first. Okay, so I'm starting price elasticity of demand. Whatever methods and formulas I'm using in price elasticity, same is applied to income, cross and advertisement. Sir, what are you saying? You'll get to know. Just pay attention. Let's start with price elasticity of demand. Let's start with price elasticity of demand. Okay? Yes, sir. So friends, what is price elasticity of demand? My dear friends, if we talk about the definition states that it is the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in price of the commodity. Sir, you went too fast. Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir. I'll repeat again. Okay? Please repeat again, sir. See, number one, the question is, what is price elasticity of demand? So my dear friends, price elasticity of demand basically is the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in own price of the commodity. What does it exactly mean, sir? It simply means, I'll simplify it for you. It simply means that price elasticity of demand tells us that if price of a commodity changes by 1%, if price of a commodity changes by 1%, then quantity will change by what percent? This is what price elasticity of demand tells us. Will change by what percentage? Sir, could you give an example? Yes, I am coming to the example. Pay attention, everyone. Under percentage method, I told you I'll be explaining percentage method as it is the most important one. Okay, so pay attention. Under the percentage method, friends, how is price elasticity measured? See, percentage change in quantity demanded. This triangle means change. This triangle means change. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in price of the commodity. This is number one formula. This is friends number one formula. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in own price of the commodity. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in own price of the commodity. And guess what, friends? If let's say you are studying income elasticity of demand, same. Percentage change in quantity demand will always remain the same. If you are studying income elasticity of demand, in case of income elasticity, it will become percentage change in income. And if you were discussing, advertisement elasticity of demand, then it will become percentage change in advertisement expenditure. What you are trying to tell us is, sir, that under the percentage method, percentage change in quantity demanded will always be at the top. Now, depending upon what kind of elasticity you are computing, whether it's price, income, whether it's cross, that will determine what you put in the denominator. If it is price elasticity, it will be percentage change in price in the denominator. If it is income elasticity, it will be percentage change in income in the denominator. And friends, if it is advertisement elasticity, it will be percentage change in advertisement expenditure in the denominator. So what I'm trying to tell you all is, it entirely depends on what type of elasticity you are expected to compute. But yes, my attention is strictly towards price elasticity right now under the percentage method. I'll write down the formula again. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in price. Sir, could you give us an example so that we are able to understand well? Yes. Let's say, my dear friends, there is this friend. Let's say his name is Mr. Anirudh. Let's say for example, his name is Mr. Anirudh. Now, price of the product was rupees 100. And when price was 100, quantity demanded was 50,000 units. But what happened is, when price rose to, please pay attention everyone, when price rose to, let's say 150 rupees, okay, quantity demanded had fallen to let's say 30,000 units, okay, because when price rises, quantity falls. They are asking you, calculate the price elasticity of demand. Now guys, pay attention, I'm solving it for you. It is very slowly that I am solving it so that you are understanding. First of all, we'll measure the change in price. What is the change in price equal to? It is the new price minus the old price, which is 150 minus 100, that is 50. Now I'll measure the percentage change in price. What will it be? Change in price by original price, which is 100, into 100. Sir, why have you done into 100 here? Dear friends, this into 100 serves the purpose of converting things into percentage. Because you see, we have studied that whenever you want to convert anything to percentage terms, you just multiply 100. So exactly the same thing, friends, I have done, where I have multiplied 100 to indicate that we are converting it into percentage. Okay, so if you have cut this, how much did you get, friends? Friends, you got 50%, right? But what about percentage change in quantity then? See, percentage change in quantity is, first of all, change in quantity, how much? 30 minus 50, that is minus 20,000. Sir, why minus 20,000? Because it has decreased. Because my dear friends, quantity was 50, it has got down to 30. So my dear friends, it has reduced by 20,000, right? So what I'll do is, I'll put minus 20,000 by original quantity, that is 50,000, into 100, okay? 100 we have put here to convert to percentage, okay? So we'll cut all this. So it is coming minus 40%, right, sir? Yes, sir, it is correct. So now if somebody asks you, what is price elasticity of demand? You are going to say percentage change in quantity demanded, which is minus 40%, by percentage change in price, which is 50%. So you can cut it all. So it is minus 4 by 5, basically meaning minus 0.8. But guys, remember one thing. Please remember one thing. I'll want you to remember one thing, that whenever you write price elasticity of demand, you will always take it in terms of modulus. So normally every calculation we will use this. For every calculation we will use this. But let's say somebody has asked us to write the value of price elasticity. Always remember, it is a standard practice actually to write it in terms of modulus. So basically we have taken modulus of minus 0.8. We have basically taken modulus of minus 0.8, which, my dear friends, is actually equal to 0.8. So it is just a standard practice, but in reality elasticity is negative. Now a very important question that ICI may ask you is, why is elasticity, price elasticity, coming negative? Obviously because, friends, price and quantity are inversely related to one another. One rises, other falls. So it is definite that one will become negative. And that's why if you are ever asked that what does a negative elasticity imply? It implies inverse relationship. It implies inverse relationship. So let me give you an MCQ question and see whether you are able to solve it or not. What does negative price elasticity imply? What does negative price elasticity imply? What does negative price elasticity imply? Option A, positive relation of price and quantity. B, negative relation of price and quantity. C, don't know. D, all the above. So friends, my question is, if the price elasticity is negative, what kind of relation is it showing? Is it showing positive or direct relation, or is it showing negative or inverse relation between price and quantity? Come on everybody, I'll need your answer, everyone. Come on friends. Very good, very good, absolutely correct answer. So friends, here it is positive. It's not positive, na? It's negative relation of price and quantity, because you see, when price is rising, quantity is falling, and when price is falling, quantity is rising. So since price elasticity is talking about inverse relationship, that's what we have done here. That's what we have done here. Okay, sir, we got it, sir. Sir, can you tell us some other formula to calculate price elasticity of demand under the percentage method itself? Yes, friends. It's not the other formula, it's the same formula in a more condensed manner. You see, what did I say? Percentage change in quantity demanded. You see here, guys. Always quantity demanded will be the numerator. So percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in price, I told you all. So now friends, what I'm trying to tell you all is that if you were to calculate percentage change in quantity demanded, how will you do it, sir? My dear friends, what you will do is Q2 minus Q1 by Q1 into 100 divided by, if you want to calculate percentage change in price, how will you calculate it? P2 minus P1 by P1 into 100. Yes or no, friends? Yes, sir, you are correct. Now 100 gone. Pay attention everyone. 100 gone. So what are we left with? Q2 minus Q1. Basically meaning change in quantity. Q1 means original quantity. Whole divided by change in price by P1 means original price. So the ultimate formula that comes is del Q by Q1 into P1 by delta P. Delta means change. So the formula can be condensed to become delta Q by delta P into original price by original quantity. Remember, as per me, I have taken P1 and Q1 as the original price and original quantity. If you see institute's material, it is written P by Q, because institute has taken P and Q to be the original price and quantity. So nothing to be worried about, right? What does delta Q indicate? Delta Q basically indicates change in quantity, right? It basically indicates change in quantity, and delta P basically indicates change in price. So are you telling us that, sir, we can use both the formulas? That is the one that you gave us initially, or the one that you are giving us now? Both are exactly the same. One is the condensed form of other. Let me give you a question and let's see how many of our friends are able to solve it. Let's see, guys. Let's say original price was 120 rupees, or not 120 rupees, 200 rupees, and the quantity demanded back then was 500 units, but let's say price rose to 220 units and quantity has fallen to 450 units. Okay, or let's say quantity has fallen to 400 units. I'll want to know from each one of you, what is the price elasticity of demand equal to? Come on everybody, I need the answer from each one of you. Come on everybody, attack. Yes, Muhammad Uzair, your answer is visible? Yes, Chitrank, your answer is visible, friend. Yes, yes. Very good, very good. So let's see, friends, whether you are able to answer it correctly or not. Okay. And I'm happy to see that most of our students are answering it absolutely bang on correct. See, it is equal to change in quantity. So change in quantity is by how much, friends? By 100, and yes, it is negative 100, it will be minus 100, divided by what is change in price? It is plus 20, into P1 is original price 200 by Q1 is original quantity 500. Correct? So friends, 0 0 gone, 0 0 gone, 2 10, 0 0 gone, 5 2. So friends, though elasticity has come to be negative, but I absolutely told you that it will be equals to 2. And remember friends, elasticity, there is no, though for elasticity there is no, what should I say, unit. You, some people have written 2%. No, it's wrong, my dear friends. Elasticity doesn't have a percentage, because percentage get cancelled. Elasticity is 2. So sir, what does it mean? Elasticity of 2 means that whenever the price changes by 1%, quantity is going to change by 2%. That is 1% into 2. How does this 2% come? That is the change in price into the value of elasticity, which is 2%, which is 2%, which is 2%. Okay. Is that so, sir? Is that so, sir? Yes. Correct. Very, very good. So friends, the fact that you have understood this, now the fact that you have understood this, another type of question that institute might ask you, and therefore I am pretty much interested in practicing with you, is they will give you the value of elasticity. Institute will give you the value of elasticity, and you will be expected to compute some missing data. I'll give you an example. It is very much from the institute's material itself. Okay, I am using the illustration number 3 from institute's material. Okay, I'll tell you this. So the question is, after this we will move on to the next concept. Okay, so please pay attention. I'm doing this numerical with you all. Price of a good decreases, price of a good decreases from rupees 100 to rupees 60 per unit. You have been told that price elasticity of demand is equals to 1.5. Price elasticity of demand is 1.5, and original quantity is, and original quantity means I have taken it to be Q1, doesn't matter, and original quantity is 30 units. Original quantity is 30 units. You are expected to calculate the new quantity. You are expected to compute the new quantity. You are expected to compute the new quantity. What is the new quantity? This is what you are expected to do, friends. This is what you are expected to do, friends. What is the new quantity? So friends, I'll tell you what to do. It's a very easy question. First of all, we will remember this formula: change in quantity by change in price into original price by original quantity. What is EP? Change in quantity by change in price into change in quantity by change in price into original price by original quantity. Change in quantity by change in price into original price by original quantity. Correct? Yes, sir. Now friends, pay attention. Most of the friends tend to make mistake here. Most of you friends tend to make mistake here. Please pay attention, everyone. We will put the values. See, what is the value of elasticity? 1.5. Now don't do this mistake. Don't do this mistake. What is the value of elasticity? 1.5. But what is the actual value of elasticity? Come on guys, I'm asking you one more time. What is the actual value of elasticity? Come on, tell me, yaar. Come on, tell me, everybody. What is the actual elasticity? What do you think? Should I write it 1.5 or is it minus 1.5? Very good. It is actually minus 1.5. 1.5 has been written, I told you, for the sake of good presentation. But it's always minus. So we have put a minus sign here. We have put a minus sign here. Very good, everyone. Very good Kalyani, very good Lisa, very good Divyanshu, Moksha, Vagdehi, very good Himanshu, good Shashank, good work. Snehashish, good work. So friends, pay attention. Now, change in quantity we don't know. What we don't know, we will let it be that way. Now, change in price. See, original price was 100 rupees. Now the price has reduced to 60 rupees. So price has fallen by 40 rupees. And what did I tell you? If there is a fall, you represent it by a negative sign. So it is minus 40. Correct? Into original price by original quantity. Original price, as you can see friends, is 100 rupees, and original quantity, as you can see friends, is 30 rupees. Correct? Sir, can we transfer this minus upper mein, that is above? Yes. And then both of the sides, left and right, minus can get cancelled. Yes, both of the sign minus got cancelled. Now it's pretty easy. 0 0 gone, 0 0 gone. So basically 1.5 equals to delta q by 12. 4 into 3, 12. So delta q is basically 12 into 1.5 is basically 18. It's basically 18 units. So sir, what I am trying to tell you is, now see, this delta q is telling you a lot of things. It means the quantity has changed by 18 units. Now guys, you all tell me whether this value has come positive or negative. Very good friends, this value has come positive. It means that the quantity will rise. Had it come negative, it would have meant that the quantity will fall. So what was the original quantity friends? 30 units. And since it will rise by 18 units, so new quantity will be 30 plus 18, that is 48 units. That, my dear friends, gives you the answer. Is it crystal clear, everybody? Come on friends. Okay, very good, very good. So now, my dear friends, I'll talk to you about a concept called point elasticity. Price elasticity was this much. Yes, we will discuss types of price elasticity. Don't you worry. But first, I will explain as per the material point elasticity, and then we will discuss the 5 types. Okay? So don't worry. Point elasticity is to very simple 2 minutes topic. Point elasticity is to basically a 2 minutes topic, sir. Yes, my dear friend, Anshita is telling, sir, in study material EP is written positive. Yes, dear Anshita, we have also done it positive only. Our first step was to take negative sign both the sides. Okay, Anshita, play attention. It was negative here, negative here. Anshita, then we have cut from both the sides. So now it has become positive. And please remember, while you solve, you use this approach and this approach only. Okay, moving on to a point elasticity. Sir, is point elasticity also a method of calculating elasticity of demand or what? Yes, friends, it is another method to calculate elasticity of demand. Rather more simpler, but it is hardly used. Okay. So pay attention, friends. Okay. Okay. Pay attention, everyone. Pay attention, everyone. Okay. Moving on. Now, guys, if we talk about point elasticity, I'll answer you this. Okay. If we talk about point elasticity, I'll answer you this. Pay attention, everyone. See, there is a demand curve that is given to you. Okay, under this method, what does point elasticity say? That as per this, price elasticity equals to lower segment by upper segment. Finished. Sir, what does it mean? Lower segment by upper segment? I will tell you what it means, friends. I will tell you what it means. So if you are asked to measure the elasticity at point A, right? At point A, and this is point E. Let's take 3 more points. B, C exactly in between, D somewhere here. So if somebody asks you to measure the point elasticity at A, then what will be the value? Lower segment, that is this red line. Below A, it is the full line AE. And now pay attention. Above A, is there anything that you can see? Nothing. So this will become infinity. Okay. Now at point B, what is happening? Price elasticity at point B, what is happening? Pay attention. The line below B is BE, correct? Size of line. And above B is AB. And friends, as you can see, BE is greater than AB. So whatever be the value of this fraction, it will be greater than 1. That is one thing for sure. That is one thing for sure. Now at point C, what is happening, which is the exact midpoint? Again, line segment below, that is CE divided by line segment above, that is AC. CE divided by AC. Now below and above are equal. So whenever numerator and denominator are equal, fraction value is exactly equal to 1. Then at point D you see, if somebody asks you to measure elasticity at D, this is the point elasticity method going on. Okay. So DE divided by AD. DE, that is lower part by upper part. Now here obviously DE is less than AD. So basically the fraction will be less than 1. Okay. And eventually, my dear friends, if you talk about point E, you see in point E, there is nothing part of the red line below E. So above C. So what we were doing, line segment below and above. Below is nothing and above is the entire line. So the value is 0. And guess what, friends? We have studied the 5 types of elasticity of demand. Oh, so number 1, if price elasticity value ever comes to infinity, then my dear friends, it is called perfectly elastic demand. What is it called? It's called perfectly elastic demand. Okay, sir, it's called perfectly elastic demand. Got it, sir. Friends, whenever elasticity is greater than 1, we call it to be relatively elastic demand. Relatively elastic demand. So infinity perfectly elastic, when it is greater than 1, relatively elastic. 1 means unitary elastic. 1, my dear friends, means unitary elastic demand. 1 basically means, friends, unitary elastic demand. 1 basically means, friends, unitary elastic demand. 1 basically means, friends, unitary elastic demand. Okay, moving on. If it is less than 1, it is relatively inelastic demand. It is relatively inelastic demand. Relatively inelastic demand. Okay, it is relatively inelastic demand. And if it is 0, my friends, the good news is it is called perfectly inelastic demand. It is called perfectly inelastic demand. It is called perfectly inelastic demand. Perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, yes sir, we got it, sir. So basically, and sir, is it under both the methods, that is percentage method and point method? Yes, under both the methods. If it is infinity, perfectly elastic. If it is greater than 1, relatively elastic. If it is exactly 1, it's unitary elastic. If it is less than 1, relatively inelastic. And if it is 0, perfectly inelastic. Sir, can you also show us the graph? Can you also show us the graph? Yes sir. Okay, and as far as examination you are asking, generally in examination dosto percentage method is going to come. Okay, generally percentage method comes. Okay, this is a topic that is stated in our book, so we need to respect it. At any point in point elasticity, the lower line segment by upper line segment, full stop, that's it. Okay, now pay attention, friends. What is important is the type of graph. Under all the 5 types, under all the 5 heads, we need to know the graphs. And after this, I will teach you arc elasticity. Okay, arc elasticity of demand. But before that, first things first, friends. First things first, friends. So I'll show it to you, all the 5 types of graphs. So pay attention, friends. Okay, number 1, graph number 1, graph number 2, graph number 3. Pay attention, graph number 3. Okay, then graph number 4 and graph number 5. Sir, why are you drawing 5 graphs? Just to display to you all, friends, the different types of elasticity that is prevailing. I'll remove it from here. I'll use a separate space here. So this is the 5th type. So do we need to learn the graphs? No, you don't. Once you understand how to plot them. Okay, and it's pretty easy. Very, very easy. See, price is here, quantity is here. 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 Now guys, first things first. Now when we talk about perfectly elastic demand, what is this situation, sir? It is rare to see such a situation in real life, but perfectly elastic demand says that even for a negligible change in price, negligible, let's say price has changed by 1 paisa, quantity will change by a lot of units, maybe 1000, 10,000, 1 lakh units. But all of you will say, sir, but this is not practical because prices has a negligible change. Prices almost not change at all. So why quantity is changing a lot? That is the concept of perfectly elastic demand. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll show you the graph. See here, price remains constant in case of perfectly elastic demand. So, but quantity is rising. First Q1, then Q2, then Q3. So guys, if you plot the respective points, you will join them. You will find out that you will get a horizontal line parallel to x-axis basically. So exactly my topic. That is exactly my point, my topic. What I'm trying to tell you here is that's the case of perfectly elastic demand. 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 Okay, you got it? That's the case of perfectly elastic demand. Okay, sir, we got it. And remember, in perfectly elastic demand, the value is infinity. The value is always going to be infinity. In case of perfectly elastic demand, elasticity value is infinity. Okay. Now, since I have told you perfectly elastic, let me also teach you perfectly inelastic at once. Okay. So what is perfectly inelastic now? Pay attention, friends. Here it is just the opposite. Here, no matter the change in price, there will be no change in demand. It is somehow practical. It can happen in case of medicine. No matter the change in price, quantity might not change. So that's what it is talking about. So what I'll do is, see, if this is the price, let's say, if this is the quantity, okay. So despite the rise in price or despite the fall in price, quantity at all levels are exactly the same. Quantity at all levels are exactly the same. But my dear friends, that's what I am teaching you. So when you join this lines, here it is. You have got this line, friends. You have got this line, friends. This is a vertical line, as you can clearly see. Vertical line, as you can clearly see. And please remember, in case of this vertical line, elasticity value is always zero. Elasticity value is always zero. Elasticity value is always zero. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the third type. Friends, the third type that I am talking about is relatively elastic demand. Relatively elastic demand. These cases are rather more obvious. Okay. Relative elastic demand. Here what happens is, friends, in case of relatively elastic demand, yes, both quantity and price are changing. But who is in higher Josh? But who is in higher Josh? Josh किसमें ज्यादा है? Who is changing by a larger quantity? It's the quantity. It's the quantity. So when percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in price, when percentage change in quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in price, then we call it to be the case of relatively elastic demand. So have a look here. Price P1, quantity Q1. But when due to, so see, it is intersecting here. But when price falls by a little amount, quantity changes by a larger amount. Price has fallen, see, but the percentage change in quantity is greater. So the gap between Q1 and Q2 is greater than the gap between P1 and P2. If you remember this, you will make the graph correct. So see, it is relatively flatter. It is relatively flatter. You will not need to learn. You will indulge into the world of economics. Okay. So it is flatter. And obviously in case of relatively elastic demand, that is red, the value of elasticity is always greater than 1. Always greater than 1. Always greater than 1. Correct, sir. What about the next point, that is number 4? So that's relatively inelastic demand. That's relatively inelastic demand. That's relatively inelastic demand. So friends, what happens in case of relatively inelastic demand? Here, my dear friends, yes, again there is a change in both, but this time price is at a higher Josh. So let's say if we put price P1 here, okay, and then quantity is Q1, let's say here. Now when price falls, quantity rises, but the Josh will not be that much in quantity. So see, the gap between the two price curves is greater, but quantity though rising, the gap is not that impressive. You see, so the curve is little flat, or I would rather say steep. Steeper is the word. So the curve is rather steeper here. The curve is rather steeper here. And remember, in case of relatively inelastic demand, the value of elasticity is less than 1. The value of elasticity is less than 1. The value of elasticity is less than 1. And finally, talking about the further things, friends, we are talking about, now pay attention, friends. Now we are talking about unitary elastic demand. Friends, in unitary elastic demand, the value of elasticity is always equal to 1. The value of elasticity is always equal to 1. And the shape that you generate out of this is a rectangular hyperbola. Is a rectangular hyperbola. Sir, how does it exactly look? I'll tell you. Don't need to panic. Just draw it. Here the gap between the two is same. That is the percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in price are one and the same. So basically, if we are at P1 and price is rising to P2, let's say, then it was quantity Q1, so it is quantity Q2. Both have almost the same gap. In such a case, friends, the graph would somewhat be like this. And this shape, my dear friends, is called a rectangular hyperbola. What is it called? A rectangular hyperbola. Now, most of us have a question here. Sir, why is this shape called so? Because if you make a rectangle here, can't you see a rectangle is formed? Here also you can form a rectangle and the area of each rectangle will be same. So area of this rectangle 1 and area of this rectangle 2 will exactly be the same. That's why it's called a rectangular hyperbola. It is not required. I am just giving extra information for your mental satisfaction. It's not required. Okay. There it is. Moving on, sir. Okay. Yes, Asha. It's MCQ. Yes, correct. So now pay attention, everyone. Pay attention, everyone. So there it is. It is exactly equal to 1. Moving on, friends. So these are the 5 types of elasticity of demand that I needed you all to be aware about. Now, sir, what are you talking to us about? Friends, now I am discussing with you arc elasticity of demand. Another, another interesting thing. What is arc elasticity? What is arc elasticity? Yet again another method, just like point elasticity and percentage method, arc elasticity, friends, is another method to measure elasticity of demand. Arc elasticity, friends, is another method to measure elasticity of demand. So sir, could you tell us more about it? Absolutely yes. Pay attention, everyone. Arc elasticity. Arc elasticity is calculated how? Again, EP is equals to, you remember guys, what did I tell you? That here we do change in quantity. In case of percentage method, it's better first I remind you the percentage method. In case of percentage method, what used to happen? Pay attention, friends. In case of percentage method, what used to happen? To calculate elasticity, we used to do change in quantity by original quantity into 100 divided by change in price by original price into 100. I hope you friends remember it because we have done it today itself, some time back. Correct? Yes, sir. But guess what the interesting thing here is, friends? Guess what the interesting thing here is, friends? Please pay attention. The interesting thing, friends, here is, here also the formula is similar except one gap. You will do change in quantity by, now guys, here comes the change. Here it is Q1, right? Instead of Q1, friends, the only change that you need to remember is that instead of Q1, we take the average of the quantity instead of taking the original quantity. Okay. Similarly, friends, in case of, delta P, change in price will remain the same, but instead of original price, the only change is, it is the average price, P1 plus P2 by 2 into 100. Oh, so sir, it seems very easy then. Correct. It is indeed very easy. Oh, sir, we got it, sir. 100 gone, sir. Now we can just simplify it, sir. Is it what you are trying to tell us, sir? Absolutely, I'm telling this only. So eventually, when you try to condense it or make the formula simpler, what you ultimately land up to is, something very interesting you will find. It will be change in quantity by change in price. You remember, just like we condensed the percentage method formula, what did it become to? Change in quantity by change in price into original price by original quantity. I hope you remember this. Yes, sir, we indeed do. Here also it is simple. Change in quantity by change in price into sum of prices by sum of quantities. That's it. So, sir, it's a very easy change and a very simple change. Yes, it is. So basically, let me give you an example. So let's say if original price of a commodity was, let's say, 500 and the price has, let's say, reduced to 400 rupees and original quantity was, let's say, 100 unit and the quantity has risen to 150 units, if we are asked to use the arc elasticity method to compute elasticity of demand, what we have got to do is, first of all, find out the value. Like how, sir? First of all, change in quantity. So change in quantity has increased by 50. Then change in price, price is reduced by 100. See, we will put the modulus in the end. First solve normally into sum of prices. What is the sum of prices, friends? Sum of prices is 900 by sum of quantities, which is 250. Very good. Now friends, 52s are, this 0 gone, this 0 gone. Okay, here it is 45 by 25. So if you solve it, it becomes 1.8. So EP comes to be minus 1.8, 45 by 25. But what did I teach you? In the end, you will take the modulus value. So elasticity is represented like this, 1.8. It is represented in modulus. It is represented as 1.8. That's the basic thing we need to remember, friends. Okay, yes, sir. Very good, sir. Very good, sir. So there it is, arc elasticity. My friends, I'm quite sure it's simple, because instead of percentage method having P1 and Q1 here, you will have in arc elasticity P1 plus P2 and Q1 plus Q2. Come on, friends, I need a confirmation of the same before I can barge on to the next topic, which is the total expenditure method. Total expenditure method I need to explain. Come on, everyone. Okay, moving on. Yes, sir. It's very easy. All right, amazing. So now moving on to the total outlay or the total expenditure method, friends. Let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. Our friend is asking, sir, why EP taken in negative? Vishal, EP has arrived negative because price and quantity are inversely related. And my dear friend, because price fall na from P1 to P2, so change in price is minus 100, not plus 100. So we put minus. Answer comes in minus, and eventually we write our answer in modulus. Okay, please remember the same. Okay, correct. Array, okay. Moving on. Now, guys, if we talk about total expenditure or total outlay method, this is really a very, simple method, not something which is very tough. You see, please, total outlay or expenditure method. So what is going on in the total outlay or expenditure method, friends? Please pay attention, friends. Here, we don't need to calculate anything. We need to calculate only total expenditure. What is total expenditure? Price per unit into number of units you have consumed. As simple as that. Okay. And yes, in general, price elasticity will come negative while solving. Also remember, there might be a case of exception to the law of demand coming in exam, where you will see price is rising, quantity is also rising. That time elasticity may come to be positive, but generally price elasticity comes negative. We write the answer in positive terminology. Moving on, pay attention. Total expenditure. Friends, total expenditure is price into quantity. Total expenditure is price into quantity, right? So now moving on, friends, pay attention, everybody. What they are saying is that, let's say, if price of a commodity has risen or price of the commodity has fallen, but there is no change in total expenditure. There is no change in total expenditure. It is called unitary elastic demand. It is called unitary elastic demand. Sir, can you give us an example? Yes, I can certainly give you an example. Let's say, friends, price was rupees 10 of a particular product and quantity consumed was 500 units. Now, friends, what happened is price eventually grew out. It eventually grew, and price eventually grew to become 20 rupees. Price eventually grew to become 20 rupees. So quantity fell to 250 units. Now see, you can clearly see that price and quantity have same relation, price rising, quantity falling. But have a look here, price is changing. Now see the total expenditure here. Initially it was 500 into 10, 5,000. Here also you see the total expenditure, 20 into 250, which is 5,000. And what did I say? When there is no change in total expenditure, unitary elastic demand. Value of unitary elastic demand is obviously 1, because the word unitary itself means 1. So what we will write is no change in total expenditure. No change in total expenditure. This is case number 1. Case number 1. We don't need to calculate anything. We just need to remember this. Okay. Moving on, sir. Moving on. Point number 2. Friends, if when price rises, total expenditure falls, or when price falls, total expenditure rises, that's the case of relatively elastic demand. That is the case of elastic. We don't use the word relative here. We will use the word elastic demand. You can also call it relatively elastic demand. Sir, can you give an example? Okay. When price is 10, quantity is, let's say, 500. So total expenditure as usual is, 5,000. But what happens, friends, is when price rises to 20 rupees, let's say the quantity demanded has fallen to 200 units. Correct? So you see what has happened. New total expenditure is 4,000 rupees. So as a result of rise in price, total expenditure has eventually gone down. This, my dear friends, indicates elasticity greater than 1. It's the case of elastic demand. And the third case which we need to remember is indeed very easy. What is it, sir? The third case is rather simpler. What is it, sir? The third case tells us that, let's say, if price is rising and total expenditure is rising, or when price is falling, total expenditure is falling. That is, there is a direct relationship between price and total expenditure, right? That is the case of inelastic demand. That is the case of inelastic demand, meaning elasticity will be less than 1. Could you give us an example, sir? Certainly I would. P1 is 10, Q1 is 500. So total expenditure would rather be 5,000. But let's say when price has become 20 rupees, quantity has become, let's say, 300 units. Okay. See the total expenditure now, 6,000. So what has happened? You see, when price has risen, total expenditure has also risen. They have gone in the same direction, friends. And hence we call it to be an inelastic demand. My dear friends, now let me give you an MCQ question to check whether you are able to answer it or not. The question that I'm asking is, if there is inverse relation between price and total expenditure, total expenditure is also called total outlay, what is the nature of elasticity? Option A, inelastic. Option B, elastic. C, unitary. D, none. Come on everyone, I need your answer fast, everybody. Okay, very good answer, everybody. Always remember that there is an inverse relation, so there is an elastic demand. If there would have been direct relation, then the demand would have been inelastic. You are absolutely correct. Okay, so now, friends, we are moving on to the next topic, which is determinants of elasticity of demand. Determinants of price elasticity of demand. Let's pay attention, friends. Determinants of price elasticity of demand is what we are studying. Okay, determinants of price elasticity of demand. Okay, so following are the determinants of price elasticity of demand. Pay attention. Determinants means factors affecting price elasticity of demand. And also remember, factors affecting demand are different from the factors affecting elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand. These are two different things. So let's not be confused. Okay, moving on. The factor number 1 is availability of substitutes. Now guys, you have to apply common sense here. I'll explain it. See, if substitutes are available, then for a very small change in price, the producer will find that the consumers are either coming in large quantities or not coming at all. So therefore the demand will be elastic. See, sir, first let's come to a general rule. Whenever demand can change by a larger amount, it may increase or decrease, doesn't matter. Whenever demand is able to change itself by a very large amount, it is elastic demand. Whenever demand is able to change itself by a very large quantity, it is elastic demand. And whenever demand is unable to change itself by a very large quantity, it's the case of inelastic demand. Come on everyone, first of all answer this. Whenever demand is able to change itself by a larger quantity, the demand is, yes, elastic. And whenever the demand is unable to change itself by a large quantity, the demand is, yes, inelastic. You're absolutely correct. So now moving on. Now moving on, friends. Correct. Moving on. Pay attention, everybody. So now when we deal with substitutes, pay attention, everyone. When we talk about substitutes, friends, see, if substitutes are available, the demand is elastic. If substitutes unavailable, then you have to take the product from that consumer, that producer only. So no matter what is the price, you will have to buy from that person only. So the demand will rather be inelastic. Correct? Moving on to the second point. Okay. Position in customer's budget. Position in consumer's budget. Sir, what does it mean, position in consumer's budget? It is a very simple point indeed. It simply is telling that out of total expenditure, total monthly expenditure, let's say done by the consumer, what is the portion spent on the respective item? Let's say, for example, if it is, if the parents have a children, if people have children, now children's school fees is a major decision because a lot of expenditure takes place there. So there will be price sensitivity, demand will be elastic. So basically, if consumer has to spend high amount on something, they will rather compare the prices. So it will be elastic demand. But let's say, guys, a matchbox. You will not find, when you see people at your home, they might be discussing what school you will go to, what school you had gone to, or maybe your brothers and sisters will go to. Maybe your parents would decide what car to buy, which phone to purchase, because a high amount of expenditure is involved. But you will never see your parents or yourself discussing which salt to buy, okay, which matchstick to buy. You will never see that happening. That is the idea. So what I'm trying to say is that if the expenditure is too low, then people generally don't focus on the movement of prices. So the demand tends to be inelastic that way. Okay. And the simple funda is, if demand can change by large quantity, elastic. If not, inelastic. Full stop. That is the idea. Okay. Correct. Moving on to point number 3. Everybody focus here. Moving on. So point number 3. Nature of the commodity. What are we discussing? Nature of the commodity. So what is nature of the commodity, sir? Nature of the commodity. Yes. Is the commodity an essential, or is the commodity a luxury item or a non-essential item? Because you see, guys, let's say a book you want to purchase for studying, or a copy you want to purchase for practicing your sums. Now, if you're buying a copy for practicing your sums, guys, no matter what, the price of the copy is, you will need it. It's an essential, so the demand tends to be inelastic. But if something is non-essential, let's say a video game, you wanted to buy it, but you see prices are very high now. So you have decided that this particular video game or PlayStation you will buy later on. So the demand tends to be elastic because they are very price sensitive. Yes, Prachi, correct. Nature of commodity. Moving on to point number 4. Number of uses of a commodity. You see, number of uses of a commodity. So friends, I explained you yesterday, in the last class, that if a commodity has multiple uses, if price is low, then its demand will rise very fast because it will be used for less important purposes also, like milk example I gave, electricity example I gave. But if price are very high, then they will be used only for the very essential purposes, and therefore the demand tends to be very elastic. But if the product has a single use, then the demand tends to be inelastic. Number 5. Time period. That's an interesting case, guys. That's an interesting case indeed. You see, if you talk about short in production chapter, we will talk about concepts like total revenue and everything. Okay. Similarly, we will talk about short period, long period and everything. So pay attention everyone. Short period, long period. Now guys, try and understand something. If the time period is very short, do you think, let's say for example, I am a chips manufacturer. You ordered 500 chips 6 months back. Today you come to me, you take this 500 packets and you tell me you need another 1000 by tomorrow. Will I be able to provide for the same? No. So in short period, generally demand is not able to change a lot, and so in short period demand tends to be inelastic. But what happens in long run, sir? In the long run, sir, demand can adjust itself, and yes, therefore the demand tends to be elastic, and hence the demand tends to be elastic. Got it, sir? Point number 5. So these are some of the points that we need to study. Then there is this consumer habit. Friends, you see, if you have a habit, of purchasing a certain product, it is funny, but all of you must have heard that that something Nutella that we apply on bread. So I am very addicted to Nutella, right? So most of you must be. So when I have become so habituated to Nutella that despite the rise in prices or decrease, or price decrease, it doesn't affect me. So the demand for me for something that I am habitual to consume will be inelastic. But to the contrary, you assume that if you have something that you don't have a habit of consuming, so if the price tends to be high, you will postpone it for future. So the demand tends to be elastic in that case. The demand tends to be elastic in that case. That is what we need to study. That is what we need to study. Okay, sir, we got it, sir. Moving on. Point number 7. Point number 7. Okay, let's say tied demand. You see, tied demand is generally inelastic. Sir, what is tied demand? I explained you yesterday, joint demand. That's why I explained you. You see, like for example, car and petrol. Now guys, if you use these two together, if you have bought a car, will you not purchase petrol if even if the price of petrol rises? Obviously, sir, we will. So if the two products are tied, the demand for them is inelastic. But if they are consumed separately, then it may be elastic. But if they are tied, demand tends to be inelastic. Because now you cannot, just because you see you have bought a car, but you see that the petrol prices are very high, you don't operate a car. It doesn't happen that way. You will still operate it, right? So the demand of petrol will become inelastic for you. The demand of petrol will become inelastic for you. Yes, sir, you are correct. Moving on. So these are some of the points that affect the particular thing. Now guys, we will talk about another topic which is very simple. I've already explained the same. It's just the formality that I am doing right now. It is called income elasticity of demand. It's called income elasticity of demand. The calculation of which is very simple. The calculation of which is indeed very simple. Okay, listen to me very carefully. Income elasticity. I told you now, all the other elasticity method is very easy, are very easy. So income elasticity, same here. We focus only on percentage method. What does it say? As per income elasticity of method, income elasticity of demand, how do you compute? Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in income. So just like in price elasticity of demand, you used to study that for a 1% change in price, by how much will demand change? प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड में अपने पढ़ते थे कि 1% प्राइस की वजह से डिमांड कितने परसेंट से चेंज होगा. इनकम इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड में अपने पढ़ते हैं कि 1% से जब इनकम चेंज होता है तो डिमांड कितने परसेंट से चेंज होगा. एंड हाँ, here you might get a positive value. It's not that it will always come negative in computation. It's not a compulsion as such. It's not a compulsion as such. Okay, so moving on. Now guys, one thing that I need you to remember, or one thing that I need you to know, is basically what's that if the commodity is a necessity if the commodity is a necessity, you will generally find out what? If the commodity is necessity, that is, it's absolutely essential, for it income elasticity of demand, you will rather find between 0 and 1. It's a necessity, you see. If it is a luxury, generally you will find it to be greater than 1. You will find it to be greater than 1. if it is an inferior commodity, you will find it to be less than 1. Sir, why so? I'll tell you how. Guys, if your income increases, the purchase of luxury items will increase. Same direction, greater than 1. Now pay attention, guys. If it is a necessity, if even if your income rises, it will still remain between 0 and 1. Like say wearing clothes is your necessity. Your income was low, so yes, you did not purchase many clothes. But when your income rises, maybe your consumption will rise by some amount, it will not increase a lot. So therefore it generally tends to be between 0 and 1 for necessities, and less than 1 for inferior. It is obvious na, it will be less. Or rather, I would say it will be negative. Why am I saying less than 1? I would rather say it will be negative. Why? Because if your income rises, what will happen to inferior good consumption? Obviously inferior goods consumption you will reduce. Now you will shift to normal commodities. So in case of inferior goods, the income elasticity tends to be negative. So now I'll ask you a question. You all tell me what is the correct answer to this MCQ question. Okay, please pay attention. Income elasticity of a product is 3. Product will be a luxury, B, necessity, C, inferior commodity, D, none of the above. Guys, what do you think will be the answer here? Guys? Come on, everyone. All right, amazing answer. All right, sir. So basically the answer is, it is a luxury. You all need to remember one thing again. What is income elasticity? Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in income. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in income. Okay, that's the logic. So let's say, for example, the quantity of TV that you had initially was 1. Okay, when your income was, let's say 30,000 rupees per month maybe. Now since your income has risen to 60,000, you have decided that you need 3 television at home. So how much quantity of television consumption has increased? By 2 units. What is the percentage change? 2 what was the original? That is 1. What was the original income? Let's say we are assuming 50,000. Okay, so original quantity was 1, now it is 3, so it has risen by 2, by original into 100. Percentage change in quantity demanded. Now what is the percentage change in income? See, 50,000 minus 30,000 is how much? Sir, it's 20,000. By what was the original? 30,000 into 100. Now see, 100 gone, all this gone. So 2 by 1 divided by 2 by 3, isn't it? Because it is 2 by 3. So what does it become? 2 by 1 into 3 by 2. So if you cut it, you see you are getting 3. So elasticity by natural mean is getting greater than 1. It means it is a luxury item. Okay, and you need to remember this much only in income elasticity. No need to bother too much here. You already know the computation. Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in income. If it's a necessity, the value of income elasticity will be between 0 and 1. If it is a luxury, greater than 1. If it is inferior, it will be negative. Full stop. You need to remember this much only. Now, sir, what is cross elasticity of demand? Can you tell us, sir? Sir, what is cross elasticity of demand? Can you tell us, sir? Yes, for sure I'll tell you. What is cross elasticity of demand. Guys, remember, I taught you this thing. You see, cross elasticity of demand. Pay attention, everybody. Cross elasticity of demand. Pay attention, everyone. So pay attention. Guys, now there are 2 kinds of goods, you see. Number 1, complementary goods. That is basically the goods that have a joint demand. Car and petrol used together. I explained it last day, right? And then there are substitute goods. Ones that fight against each other. Enemies of one another, like tea and coffee. So what did I teach you guys? I taught you all that in case of complementary goods, what happens is, pay attention everyone, okay? Listen to me very carefully. In case of complementary goods, what will happen is, please pay attention everyone. In case of complementary goods, what will happen is that since the goods are complementary, the elasticity value, see what happens in complementary goods. If price of, let's say, if price of car rises, what happens? The demand for petrol, the quantity of petrol happens what? Yes, it tends to fall. And in case of substitute goods, what happens? If price of tea rises, the quantity of coffee tends to rise. Correct? So guys, what will happen is, in case of complementary goods, the value of cross elasticity that you will get will be negative. Why? Because both are moving in the opposite direction. But if you get a positive value of complement, then you know that the goods are substitute, because both are moving in the same direction. That is, if price of tea is rising, quantity of coffee is rising. Sir, but how do you calculate cross elasticity of demand? Again, very simple. It is percentage change in quantity demanded of good X by percentage change in price of good Y. Please remember, here we are not talking about price of good X. Here we are talking about price of good Y. So there can be two results to this. Number one, you get a positive, you get a negative, or you get zero. If you get a zero value of elasticity, then there is no relation between the commodities. If you get a negative value, then the two commodities are complementary to one another. That is, if price of one rises, the demand for other falls. But if two goods get a positive value out of the two, that is cross elasticity, the two goods are substitutes of one another. Let's do a numerical problem and we will understand what exactly is going on here. Okay, let's do a numerical problem first of all. Okay, sir. See, pay attention everyone. I'll tell you a question. You all will have to tell me. I'll give you the data. So there is this good X whose price is 100. Now this price has risen to rupees 150. Now the price has risen to 150. Okay, of good X. There is this quantity of commodity Y. When the price of good X was 100, quantity of Y was 200 units. But when price of X rose to 150 units, quantity of Y changed to, let's say, 300 units, or let's say maybe 400 units. Okay. My question to you is, good X and Y, this is the MCQ question. X and Y goods are how related? Number one, are they complementary of one another? Are they substitutes of one another? Are they not related to one another? Or it cannot be concluded? Tell me guys, what do you think is the case here? Come on everybody, need you to answer this. Come on everyone. Yes, absolutely correct. You all are absolutely correct. So friends, you all are absolutely correct that since both are moving in the same direction, that is, when price is rising, quantity is rising, it is fair to say, sir, that the two goods are substitutes. Sir, we can also compute. How, sir? Let's compute cross elasticity. Percentage change in quantity demanded is how much? See, increase by 200. What is the original? 200 into 100. So it has increased by 100%. What is the percentage change in price? It has increased by 50. What was the original? 100 into 100. So it has increased by 50%. So overall, whatever it is, you are getting a positive value. Whenever the value is positive, I have told time and again, it is going to be a substitute relation, right? And that's what you have found here. They are substitutes of one another. Correct, sir. Correct. Substitutes of one another. Absolutely correct, sir. So, sir, moving on. Pay attention, everyone. Now, we move on to a simple topic, which is similar and not very important, but I like to, explain to you which is called advertising elasticity. Advertisement elasticity. Again, very simple. Here we study the percentage change in quantity demanded due to change in advertisement expenditure. Okay, so again the formula will be, sir, here EA equals to percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in advertisement, by percentage change in advertisement. Now, sir, we have to take a conclusion here. Again, calculation is same, so I'm not wasting time here. Main thing I am discussing, please pay attention. Dost, remember it. If elasticity of advertisement expenditure is zero, if elasticity of advertisement is zero, what does it mean? Means advertisement has no effect on demand. So there is no change in demand due to advertisement. No effect on demand. Advertisement has no effect on demand. Let's say advertisement expenditure is greater than 0 but less than 1. What does it mean? It means, yes, it has increased. Yes, obviously both will want to show a positive relation. Obviously both will show a positive relation. If it is between 0 and 1, it means that yes, demand has increased, but percentage change in demand is comparatively less than percentage change in the advertisement expenditure. So let's say advertisement expenditure you have increased by 40%, but the demand is increased only by 30% maybe. So there is a rise in demand, no doubt, but it is comparatively lesser compared to the advertisement expenditure change that you witness. Okay, moving on. If you're talking about elasticity of advertisement expenditure being 1, that is both are changing by the same amount. So advertisement expenditure, if you are increasing by 50%, demand is also increasing by 50%. That's what it means. And everybody wants this. All of us dream about this. Every businessman will dream about this. What? That percentage change in advertisement expenditure should be less than percentage change in demand. So let's say the advertisement expenditure increased by 10%, but quantity demanded increased by 50%. That is the case of, that is the case which most of the businesses dream of. So if anybody asks you which one is the best, so you will want advertisement expenditure elasticity to be greater than 1. You will always want the same. That is the best for your business. That is the best for your business. So I'll write it down for you. Best for business. And which one is the worst for business? Advertisement expenditure being less. Worst for business. You don't want this. That is, you have incurred so much and nothing has happened out of the advertisement expenditure efforts that you have put in. All right. And friends, last but not the least, therefore, we come to our ultimate topic, which is called demand forecasting. As far as demand forecasting is concerned, guys, obviously I am going to discuss the topics, but you need to read it out, because till now all the concepts were very practical in nature, you see. So I had discussed a lot in details, but now when we are in demand forecasting, you all can just read it because it's so simple. Demand forecasting is basically, not just a speculative work. So if somebody asks you, is demand forecasting speculative? Please remember, no. Demand forecasting is not speculative in nature. No. Demand forecast is estimated in nature. So how are the two different? How are the two different? One is you are saying speculative in nature. The other you are saying estimated in nature. So sir, how are the two different? Are they different in any sense? Yes, friends, they are different. Sir, please elaborate. You see, friends, when it is speculative in nature means that you are just guessing that I think demand will increase by 500 units. No calculation. But when you are estimating, that is when you are forecasting, you are taking a lot of factors in consideration. You are taking a lot of factors into consideration. Like for example, if tourist companies or hotels now are thinking that COVID situation is almost over. So now people will travel. So they need to increase their space because the demand will rise. So see, they are estimating that demand will rise. But is it irrational or is it logical? Yes, it is logical. That is demand forecasting. When you make a logical conclusion out of things and not just random guesswork you are doing. Understood? Yes, sir. Forecasting can be of any level. Types of forecast that you do It can be of any type. You see, if you talk about types of forecasts with me, it can be of any type, friends. Types of forecasts can be of any type, sir. Forecast can be of any type, sir. Sir, what do you mean, sir? Meaning, number one, it can be a macro level forecast. It can be a macro level forecast. What is a macro level forecast? You know, where you are trying to estimate the inflation, the per capita income, you know, the employment situation in an economy, you know, national income related data. When you are talking about these factors and when you are estimating data like this, that is macro level. Industry level forecasting basically means, you know, what will be the situation of a particular industry, let's say textile business, whether the demand for textile will increase or decrease in India. Situation of industry, when you are trying to estimate or calculate, this is industry level forecast. And when you are talking about company level forecast, you are basically, you know, trying to say, you are basically trying to talk about, you know, the demand of company's product. What will happen to the demand for company's product? Let's say Reliance is doing some analysis whether the products of Reliance will rise or fall. That's a company level forecast. Okay, macro economy related, industry related, and company related. Too easy to remember, isn't it? Okay, now guys, there are demand distinctions wherein we will understand different type of goods that prevail in the market. In demand distinction, we are understanding the different types of goods that are prevailing in the market. So demand distinction, I'm writing it down here. Demand distinctions. Okay, so different type of goods, I'm writing it down here. Please pay attention, everyone. Number one is producer and consumer goods. Sir, what are this? Guys, it's very simple. You pay attention, everyone. Producer goods are the ones, guys, that is machine which the producers use, which the businesses use. Consumer goods are the ones that are used to manufacture producer goods. Let's say a machine produces chips. So chips is a consumer goods, but machine is a producer goods, which is used by the producers, not by the general consumer. Next is, friends, durable and non-durable goods. So sir, what is it exactly? Durable goods are the ones, friends, that you are able to use for a long period of time, like a furniture, like a piece of machinery. But what is non-durable goods, sir, which are not long lasting? You know, like fruits and vegetables, they will not last long. That is non-durable. Sir, what is derived demand and what is autonomous demand? Sir, what is derived demand and what is autonomous demand? Okay, so let me explain what is autonomous demand. Remember, derived and autonomous demand. As I have already explained you in the last class, I'll repeat once more. See, derived demand is the one, you know, demand for complementary goods is also derived. You know, when demand for car has arose, because demand for car has arose, demand for petrol has also arose. That is derived demand. If the demand for car wouldn't have arose, demand for petrol wouldn't have arose. So the demand for complementary goods is also derived demand, or what, sir? Yes. But what about autonomous demand, sir? The demand which is independent of other demand. The demand which is independent of other demand. Like say you want to eat an ice cream, you go and buy that, full stop. That is autonomous. It doesn't depend upon too many things. Okay, so there it is. Derived demand and autonomous demand. Derived is related with some commodity, autonomous not related with some commodity. Derived, one more example, you need to build a house. So to build a house, you need cement, petrol and everything. Sir, not petrol, I'm sorry. Cement, and then there is sand, gravel, stones you will need, paint you will need. So when you need a house, you also need all these things, cement and everything. So the demand for this cement and everything is a derived demand, which has arose because you wanted house. Understood? So there it is. Autonomous are basically independent demands. Okay, correct. Okay, and obviously then you understand concepts like short run demand and long run demand. You know, short run when we talk about period up to 1 year, and long run basically when we talk about periods exceeding 1 year. Okay, industry demand talks about the entire textile business industry. Company demand talks about demand by one single company. So industry and company demand is there. Okay, now sir, can you tell us what are the factors which affect demand for non-durable consumer goods? Factors affecting demand for non-durable consumer goods. Non-durable means which will not long last. which will not last long. So what do you mean, sir? Disposable income. Sir, how do you calculate disposable income? Income minus taxes, I told you. So if you have a high disposable income, maybe you can afford to buy more of this non-durable goods. B, price. If price is more, demand is less. If price is less, demand is more. And also demography, you know. So let's say if kids, you know, kids toys break very fast. So if there are a lot of kids population in the world or in the country, the demand will rise for the non-durable goods. But if not, then the demand will naturally fall. Sir, can you tell us some factors which affect the demand for durable consumer goods? Yes, I certainly can. Yes, I certainly can. Okay, please pay attention, everyone. Factors affecting demand for durable consumer goods. That is the ones that will which last longer. Number one, postponement. So see, if you are able to postpone, then the demand will fall. If unable to postpone, demand will rise. Okay. Number B, or not point B basically, is that some goods require special facilities for their use. Like for example, if you want to buy a machine that runs on roads, you first of all need a better road. So whether these are available or not, so factors like this. Understood? So these are some factors that affect, the prices. What is the price? Whether when you are buying because durable consumer goods are generally expensive. So are you getting credit facilities? That is bank loan. If bank loans are available on easy terms, then maybe the demand will rise. If not, then maybe the demand will fall. Okay. And sir, one more last thing, sir. That is the last topic of the day and for this chapter as well. Sir, can you tell us some methods of demand forecasting? A very simple topic, you just have to read. Don't worry about the length. It's just simple. Methods of demand forecasting. Like, how can you forecast demand, sir? What factors, what methods can be used? So number one is survey of buyer's intention. Survey of buyer's intention. Let's say you are planning to open up a restaurant business. You want to open up a pizza outlet. So you can just, drop the forms or send mails to customers in that area about their willingness to eat pizza, whether they are health conscious or not, whether they love fast food or not, and accordingly you can, arrive at a decision. Next is collective opinion method. Or it is also called as Salesforce method. What happens is that instead of asking people, you send your salesman to that locality, and salesmen try to get a feel of what the people have beliefs about your product, what the people feel about your product. It is not the people directly telling you, it's the salesman who you have appointed for the purpose doing it for you. That's collective opinion method. Number 3 is expert opinion method. Here we hire professional agencies who do the work of research or who have the idea of this thing, and we use them to help us find out the possible demand. So expert opinion we take. These are the experts of that industry. Then statistical method you can use. Sir, what is a statistical method? Statistical method example I can give you, like trend projection. For example, in that locality or in the country, you can draw like pizza. What happens to pizza consumption? So if you see a trend like this or you see a trend like this, you will know that it has been on the rise. So you can come to the conclusion that yes, it's a good market to bring in pizzas. That's what I'm trying to say. These are the different kinds of methods that you may employ. And my dear friends, guess what? There it is. This is it, guys. Demand forecasting, just read smoothly. It's completely, non-practical in nature. Just read and you understand. I have already explained the same, which is enough. So don't panic. It's cool enough. So my dear friends, that's it for the day. See you next day with a new topic. Goodbye, everyone. That's it for the day. Thank you very much. Bye bye everyone. Thank you very much.